big hit.
Yeah, day's over. Right front out of it. I hit the wall hard.
Oh, Larson's in hot.
I'm sorry, it's done.
Trick sideways, he gets into Bell.
Coming to pit road, I can't drive it.
With Contenders dropping out and time winding down, how did Alex Bowman find his way to victory lane?
Alex Bowman has won at Chicago.
Hell yeah, buddy!
Welcome into another episode of NASCAR Inside the Race, presented by Consumer Cellular. Second year in a row, the streets of Chicago. Second year in a row in the rain, Todd. Alex Bowman goes to victory lane. A great setting until we had a wet race on Sunday.
Yeah, and a historic moment because we got our first time race. But one of those that we didn't know where it was going to go, had chaos through the day, opportunities at different points, had a red flag. Ultimately, a couple guys that we thought might be the guys to start with ended up wrecked out.
Well, I think that's where we want to start, right? Because we didn't know where it was going to go, but we did know who you had to beat. And it starts with last year's winner, right? SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen. Decent car, didn't really show it a lot in the race, but it reminded me a lot of last year's race. Just kind of find a place to settle in. I think he would have been a player in the end.
Yeah, I thought the first couple laps he was aggressive, made a couple spots, feeling out his race car, felt good about it, just kind of said, okay, I'm going to chill. And this is what we saw last year, and it looked the same way here. He's not in a position, I thought, pretty protective of himself here.
Yeah, he's in a nice little spot right here. Unfortunately for him, Briscoe loses control in the wet. Doesn't even look like much. But what happens is he catches the bumper right here. He's going to catch the bumper of the 16. And it doesn't look like much, but what happens is when he hits that bumper, it speeds the 16 into the corner. Heavy contact with the right side, breaks the right front upright, upper control arm. End of the day for the 16.
Yeah, definitely. End of the day for that. That's one of the guys that we thought was going to be a contender. Eliminated. The other one was our pole sitter, Kyle Larson.
Kyle Larson, turn 6, same corner, a little drier, but by no means dry. Just misjudged the entry speed. A huge straight-on impact into the tires.
Yeah, big hit here. I don't know if he's just staggered a little bit differently and got into wet instead of the dries. He was just kind of working his way through it, but car never looked like it slowed down.
If it makes you feel any better, he said he didn't know either. He thought it was 3 or 4 feet deeper than he was the corner before, which is kind of what you do. You sneak up on it once the tire's locked up, nothing. But on board is really what gets my attention. You see right here, it's like he just hits a sheet of ice.
Yeah, definitely. And when you lock up on these wets, it's way less grip than what we would on a dry surface with the slicks. And once it's gone, there's no recovering.
Well, then it's kind of the tale of two races, right? We have the first half of the race, which started on wets. They went to dry. Then we had that big, long red flag. And then once we rejoined, you mentioned it, we were racing to a time limit at that point. And it really comes down to one moment for me. And that is closing in on the end of stage 2. There's this moment where you think you need to end on dries, but to do that, you have to pit before the end of the stage. And that was the changing point, or at least the intersection for different teams.
Yeah, I think what really drove all this, we watched it, and you talked about it on the broadcast, we're coming at 3 laps to go because pit road closes when the leader takes 2 to go. You can't come to pit road the last 2 laps. So the back half of the field says at 3 to go, they started to peel off. And we saw Kyle Busch, and it seemed like everybody behind him came to pit road. That forced the hand of Adam Stevens. He had to react to that. If he doesn't pit the next time before pit road closes, he's going to be buried behind all those guys that took tires.
What that does is guys like Alex Bowman who stay out, you see, he's having a good day inside the top 10, but now he moves right up to running inside the top 2. He has no option. He is now committed for wets for the rest of the way.
Being in that battle right there at the cutoff line, I think a good battle for him. They had a fast race car, took an opportunity, and ended up paying off.
Question is, can the slick tires, the dry tires, catch up? The first contender, the 20 of Christopher Bell, he's kind of the 4th car on the top of this screen. I like the move, it just doesn't work.
And I don't feel like Christopher Bell was doing anything wrong. In fact, I thought he was being on the right end of this, to the inside, leaving extra room, actually looking further right on the 6, but 47 kind of gets into the 19 here, 19 into the 6 is a combo shot, and 20 is the victim of it.
I don't think it's on purpose, but it is the cause. It comes down to the 47 and the 19 right here. So I'm going to play it forward in slow motion. I believe the 47 is trying to chase the 19 or turn under the 19. Either way, as he turns in, he's got to get into the right rear a couple times. The 19 gets loose, unable to get off the nose of the 47, catches the 20, who goes over, and unfortunately catching Carson Hocevar, who was having a nice day as well.
I really thought that Christopher Bell, if he gets through this, wins the race.
My math says wins his race driving away.
With many laps to go, he makes the pass. I think it would have been 5 or 6 laps to go, he'd have passed Alex Bowman.
All right, so now we have eliminated the 20. That kind of means, next man up on slicks. Next man up on slicks, Ty Gibbs, another driver, had a nice day, fast all weekend long. I know it's blurry, but I could tell you I was there. Everything was blurry at this point with the amount of rain that we saw. Chasing into turn 2 here, we're going to see, goes to the left side of Brad Keselowski. Brad goes in, just misses the corner, to be honest. Gets in the damp or misjudges the braking, moves the 54 up. It doesn't seem to matter, but I'm going to pause it. What matters is this guy.
That's Tyler Reddick.
That's Tyler Reddick, who's also on slicks. That was the moment that the 54 kind of got passed by the next contender.
Brad was struggling with staying on the groove at times.
That's the big difference, right? Because now it's Tyler Reddick chasing down the 48 of Bowman. So let's look at race position. Let's focus on out here. Really from the last caution on, we're going to see Reddick kind of make this ascent and try to get to the lead. Another great way to look at it or to understand how it's happening are lap times. So before I show the actual lap time, let's talk about concepts. The 48 is the purple lap time. Reddick is the red lap time. The 48's lap time is very flat. There's a little variation, but it doesn't move much.
No, and that's what this wet tire is capable of doing on this circuit. Whether it's wet or dry, there's only so much traction it can make, and that seems to be around that 95-second lap time as we see here.
Once you get to a certain pace, whether it's uncomfortable in other corners, you have to be on dry. So,
and we talked about earlier that Adam Stevens felt like he was rushed.
That's right. He didn't want to be here.
The point that he would want to come is right here where these two lines cross over. And if you look at that, that's probably 57 laps in.
Yeah. You're saying he's rushed because at the end of the stage he had to come early.
Yes.
So they restart between clean air and a wet track. Alex Bowman faster. If we move it forward a little bit further, lap 55. Alex Bowman still faster, but Reddick gaining not only track position, but speed with a drying racetrack.
Yes, yeah. And then the next lap you get to, here, Tyler Reddick's 2+ seconds faster. And this is, you're still seeing the 95-second lap time for Alex Bowman because that's what those wet tires were capable of. Once the dries got on, they could make some time.
I love this. So this is basically delta, how far back from the leader. The leader is the top. It's the dotted line. You want to cross the dotted line. You want this to go up.
This dotted line right here.
That's right. That's the leader. So now if we look at the red line, it disappears out there because he has a little issue with the wall, but connect it for us to show everybody.
If we tie this together, he passes the leader before we get to this checkered line out here at the end.
I think he has a real chance in 6. He'll definitely be there by 7. And we don't know what's going to happen between 7 and the start-finish line, but it was going to be a battle. This is what it looked like for Tyler Reddick. Turn 4, turn 5, touches the fence, straight up, has to get out of the gas. But I really, it looked like a simple mistake, but then he kind of explained it in his post-race interview. Remember, this 45 is on dries. Mm-hmm. They work best in the dry. So, it's very obvious right here, this line of dampness on his outside. He's worried about sliding up into that. And really happening what happens, which is he loses speed off the corner.
Yeah, and it was just committed early to it and turned a little aggressively. Definitely too low here. If you look at it and stop it, really that car, when you look at it, there's 4 or 5 feet that car could move out half a car width and put himself in a better position through the corner. If he does that and doesn't end up hitting the wall here, I think he's there by the time he gets to turn 6.
Yeah, so if he slide him up in the dry, you'll see he gets around the corner. He has a clear exit. What it looked like in real time is he touches that wall. He's off the gas. He's in the wet. Now, he does a nice job of not ruining his day completely and ending his day. But at this point, no chance. You see it again in slow motion. I'm going to show you the fire out the pipe. So here's the contact. And look right there. This we see time and time and time again. That means you're out of the throttle. At a place where you're back, I won't say wide open, but you're applying the throttle on corner exit. Reddick knew it. It's a simple mistake, but it ended up costing him the chance to win.
That's why he had to lift, because he wasn't going to be able to make the turn. He was going to up the other wall.
Well, you mentioned it. It was a timed race after the red flag, so we're going to break down that and a few other rules that we saw over the weekend next.
Hey race fans, Corey the Joy here. Join Ryan Flores and myself for Stacking Pennies each week. I'll break down my race and explain what happened right out of my windshield.
Plus, we award the Dogs of the Week for the best pit crews and go in-depth on all the money stops, pit road mistakes, and penalties.
And we've got a ton of guests. We have SVG stopping by. We had Ricky Stenhouse after he punched Kyle Busch in the face. We've had Bubba. We've had all sorts of guys in here in the Nonsense Garage, so you do not want to miss it. Check us out on Sirius XM Channel 90, YouTube, or wherever you find your podcast each and every week. Stacking Pennies. That's what's up.
All right, you mentioned it, first ever time in NASCAR that we run to a time limit. 8:20 local time, 00s on the clock, and then the leader will run a couple more laps. What did you make of it from a consumer, from a viewer at home?
Oh, I thought it was good because it was known. It was something that you kind of raced up against. And they had to make the announcement early enough in the race, but they understood the weather conditions. I thought it was a known. It allowed the crew chiefs to strategize their way towards it. And depending on how the cautions came, it was going to change how things played out to that point.
We've seen it. So the Rolex 24 Hours at Daytona, you run to a time limit, then a lap. Do the same in Le Mans. Even in Supercross, it's a time limit plus 2 laps. So what NASCAR has informed us is that they wait until the race to see what cloud cover looks like. That's why they don't decide, say, a day earlier that morning. Sometime before the end of stage 1, they will let the teams know that if we do have any delays in this event, then X will be the time limit. In Chicago, it was 8:20. I think sunset was around 8:25. Then how it works is whoever is leading the race under any condition, green, yellow, it doesn't matter. When the clocks see 00, then the next time by, they run 2 laps from there. So they cross the start-finish line at 0 clocks. They come around, they take the white. Then they come around and take the checker. Now, no overtimes, no extension. That could even be under yellow, but I like a more definitive end to the race.
Yeah, I thought it was great, and not one that's given 10 laps before the end of the race. It's so you can work your strategies and understand where it's coming from. Kudos to NASCAR. I think well implemented. I think it worked out very well in this situation.
On Saturday, Xfinity Series race, we see Cole Custer in the 00 penalized for passing on pit road. He's the blue car, light blue Andy's car going by the 19 of Ty Gibbs. I was a little surprised there was a penalty here. Let's dig into the rules, exactly how it's written.
Yeah, there's a couple things that play here. The first one is a piece I feel like the 19 was in violation of. Vehicles must enter pit road in a single file line in the outermost lane under yellow flag conditions.
I think that's important. F is for, we're going to get to it, that's for later with the pit road exit in the Cup Series. Then after vehicle commits to their assigned pit box, the vehicles following may pass to the outside. So remember that. You have to enter single file in the outermost lane, and then as somebody pits, you can then pass them to the outside. So if we go back and look in this area right here, and we play it forward, the 00 was penalized, and I could see their NASCAR's idea that he passed the 19. I had a little bit of a concern with this because if I'm Cole Custer and we enter pit lane, the 19 car, if I pause it right here, he's definitely not in the outermost lane to me, right? He's in the middle lane, kind of.
Yes.
Now, he's not in the center of it, but he's towards the middle lane, and he's not running at speed. I mean, Cole Custer, if he's passing him this easily, he's absolutely below pit road minimum. Yeah,
and it really, if you're looking at it from Cole Custer's standpoint, now they're coming to pit road, they're still looking at attack on there. That's how they make this. It's not like a speedometer you can set the cruise control. His focus is on the attack. The car ahead of him's not in the outermost lane, and at some point he's thinking he's peeling off to go to his pit road, to his pit box.
You mean like, so if the 19 is pitting here?
Yeah.
Right, that's not the 00's responsibility in my opinion, where the 19's pitting.
Right.
He's slowing down, he's in the middle lane, I'm going by him on the outside.
Yes. So I could see where Cole Custer came to the outside thinking that the 19 was reducing speed and must have been pitted in one of these pit boxes close to him. It didn't end up being that.
It's worth bringing up because it isn't black and white. It has to be a judgment call. NASCAR made it. When asked on Sunday, they said we're going to look into it more because we can see the argument from both their side, the officials, on he was passing the 19, but they can see what the 00 is saying. These are the things, we can't ride around for 5 laps under yellow making this decision. They have to make a decision. But if I go back kind of to this one, the other thing that made it a little more complicated is I don't know if the 19 is looking at the dash or what happened as the 00 comes over. There is a little contact there. So that is also kind of makes it jump out a little bit more. It was just odd. It was odd looking. It was important to kind of go through the rules. And you see the 19 is still continuing down pit road.
And the other piece to put into context here, the 19, we're going the opposite way down pit road here. So this is a backward pit stop. If you think about them on an oval track, the driver is 7-8 feet off the wall because he's got all of the car to his right. Ty Gibbs may just be in that same mode of he's lined up with the line thinking that car fills up the rest of it, may be a part of what staggered. It's a different situation.
Yeah, but to your point, it's still, that's what the rule says, and that was the infraction. It was tail end of the long line for the 00. The next one that kind of caught everybody's attention on board, Christopher Bell leaving under yellow in Chicago. You're going to see to the left what gets his attention. Jet dryers right there, other cars on the racetracks that he rolls around here. He comes to a stop, let the jet dryers kind of pass, and then he waits for the continuous line of cars on the racetrack. I think the 66 is the last, and then he accelerates and gets in line.
But this isn't anything different than what we would see at Martinsville on a pit stop there. The rule as it was written, you blend in behind the line of cars that's on the racetrack still.
So let's talk about that again. There's a pit out light.
Yep.
Well, if it says, stop, they don't mean stop right there on the end of pit road because you'll stack everybody up. What they want that means is go past it and just kind of roll off pit road at a safe manner and then return behind, the continuous line of vehicles behind the caution vehicle. I really think it was the jet dryers. I think the jet dryers, in a perfect world, if we could do it again, the jet dryers really needed to stop on the front stretch, allow pit road to empty, and then continue. Because if I give us another look, here's what it looks like looking back down pit road. Remember, on the right side, you see the jet dryers. Well, Bell kind of comes to a stop. Well, look at Tyler Reddick. He comes in here, and this is a pretty heavy contact. Now, look, we're in wet conditions. There's all these things to talk about. Well, that was contact from pit road. There was also a lot of contact on the racetrack and the closing laps of this race. We'll go through each of them next.
I'm Ryan Flores. Join Kim Kuhn and myself each and every week right here at Around the Track. Whether you are going to the racetrack or watching from home, we get you ready for all things national and regional level.
And we'll tell you who and what to watch for each week. Plus, we get you ready for the weekend at the racetrack, and Erica will help you place your bets to win some easy money.
Be sure to check out Around the Track every Wednesday on NASCAR's YouTube channel.
Well, we talked a lot about how Bowman won the race on wets, but there was this very fascinating battle, right? Because we have a drying racetrack, half the teams on dries, half on wets. It worked for some, it didn't work for others. Micah McDowell drives to fifth. This is a highlight reel of highlight reels, right? So we're going to see him right here. This is P14. He's going to try to go by the 42 of John Hunter Nemechek. He's going to get him here. This is through turn 2.
Yes. Yeah, quite an impressive drive, just kind of using up the racetrack. But drove his way forward, used those tires and his wet experience to bring himself home to a top 5 finish.
Yeah, you see right here, he gets to P12. I'm going to speed it up because it is continually, he gets on the right side of some situations. The 20 has some damage. He works through here. I mean, there are places to pass. This is really the tight section back here. Look at the 20 backfires out the pipes. Now he's inside the top 10. Now we're going to look right here. This is Hemrick and the 31 in front of him. He's going to get him for P8. If we go a little bit further as well. All right, this is at turn 6. They got a lot of people in trouble. Now this is turn 12, P7. I mean, he continues to pass. He gets Brad here coming down the front stretch. Look, it keeps getting darker and darker. The lights get brighter and brighter. And this right here was Stenhouse coming in the line, and he almost gets P4. He gets this close to passing the 60 of Joey Hand, coming to the line, just falls a little short.
A solid top 5 finish.
So then we saw on social media and at the end of the race, the 99 and the 9. So first, let's ride on board with the 99 because I think this gives it some context. Brad Keselowski, the 12 of Blaney in front. So here is Brad in front, trying to find his way around. And remember, Brad is leading positions here. Yes. On wet tires. They're falling off. We're coming back to the checkpoint. So this is the last lap. He's trying to protect. Suarez is trying to get through. Now we're in Congress Plaza, the big, long, sweeping left-hander. And I think this is the move he has to take into 11. The 6 has an issue. The 99 doesn't take it.
Yeah, I thought that when the 6 gets loose right here into the wall, 99 almost checks up for him. And I think that stacks him up where the 9 gets in the back of him.
Yeah, I mean, on board, you can't even really tell. You just see the 9 show up in your screen, and then down into turn 12, a big contact from the 99 into the bumper of the 9, spins the 9 out, ending his top 20 streak, finishes 21st. A great work of some side-by-side here. So if we roll through here, I look at it like this. I'm going to hit play. It's just a little bit of contact. I want to back this up. So here's what I think. Here's Brad. Here's the 99, looking on board of the 9 car. I think the 9 is expecting the 99 to fill that gap.
It's the last lap.
And I actually think Suarez should have filled the gap. I think if somebody was going to get used up here, and it's unfortunate to say it, it was going to be Brad, who's kind of bleeding spots on old tires.
Well, he already kind of got in the wall here, so he's put himself in a position he doesn't have momentum. Take the run you've got and fill the hole. I don't think Daniel Suarez does that. I think he's worried about getting wrecked, but I think the 9's expectation is that the 99 is going to fill that hole in a 6, and he doesn't.
So there's contact here. I'm not going to say that the 9 went in with the intent of hitting the 99. I think he was okay with it. I will say, from what I've seen, if you're going to be good at street racing. You have to run close enough and with just enough reckless kind of abandon that you have to accept you could get into the car in front of you. Between the split tires and the track conditions, contact could happen.
Not trying to wreck them,
no,
but racing at a level that if they are less aggressive than you expect, there's going to be some contact.
Well, and he doesn't wreck them, right? He hits them. He hits them more than once. He hits them once there. He hits them once there. And he just shoves the 99 off into the corner. The 6 goes to the left. The 99 goes high. The 99 doesn't even hit the wall. Like, if you look at the bottom, he does. If he hits the wall, it's a small, glancing blow.
Yes.
And the 99 goes by. Now, I'm going to give Suarez the same level of opinion that I have going into 12. Now, he could be irate at the 9 and goes in and runs him over. Or he could be just chasing it in there, getting on the brakes too deep. It's very heavy contact. But in the end, the 99 absolutely spins the 9 out in turn 12.
Yeah, and this could be just one of those situations where, okay, that's how we race. We can have contact here. He just gives him more contact than what the 9 can handle.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, right, I mean, the quarter panel's buckled up. It's heavy, heavy contact. It seems to me that's a pretty big misjudgment. But, here's the thing. If we were Martinsville or Richmond, I would be way more definitive on he just hit him.
Yes.
But these track conditions were changing so much that I saw contact all the time. Now, if I'm Chase Elliott, I'm probably very upset with the 99. I'm going to have a conversation because the result was the 9 backwards in turn 12. But in the end, the 99 runs 11th and the 9 21st.
Yeah, one of those situations is kind of what happens in the recklessness that is here. But to the point, the 99 makes the corner. He had hard contact, but he did make the corner. Ended up with a 11th place finish.
Well, another driver who had a great day going. He actually looked good in practice. The 42 of John Hunter Nemechek really ran inside the top 10 most of the day. In the closing laps, it really kind of completely went away. So this is heading into turn 1. A little bit miss on the corner, not really that big of a deal. We see drivers do this all the time. This is where it goes bad. They go down into turn 2. He's now higher because there's a driver to his right, gets into the wet, contact. You see the drivers go by. That's the first issue for the 42. Now, if we continue along, he has now ran the 12 back down. Mm-hmm. We're now in that kind of turn 12 section. Goes to the right, passes Blaney into turn 12, clears Blaney off turn 12. A little bit of a door bang, but then that's 11. Now into turn 12, same thing. Contact, 42 kind of gets sent off into the corner. I have this kind of the same way. If I go all the way back, I really think Blaney doesn't want to go into turn 12 on the left side of the 42, so he's trying to fall in line.
Yeah, and I think the 42 slid up the racetrack a little bit to get up in the drive for the braking zone into the corner, and I think the 12's coming down to get to the same place. Very close proximity. 42 checks up a little bit. I think Blaney drives in a little deeper and ends up in the back of him, ends up causing 3 of them to have issues here.
Yeah, and in the end, I think, these are the obvious ones that we kind of have great split screens of. But I mean, I can't place blame. I by no means can I, in this condition with this sort of split tires and everything on the line coming to the checkered flag. I don't know what is an acceptable level of aggression. I didn't see anybody go in there and just wreck someone without being close enough to try to pass them.
Yeah. And the track's continuing to change every lap you come around. So what your anticipation of what the grip level is going to be in that corner and what mine is may be different coming into a corner. And if, as you talked about, to be successful at these courses, you have to be on the edge of being aggressive, where if there's a difference in opinion, there's going to be contact.
It is going to be an interesting watch, hopefully this week in the dry, the Tricky Triangle, one of my favorite racetracks. Tune in, 2:30 Eastern on USA.